Hello, everyone. My name is Aaron Keith. I am conducting an interview, which was taken Friday, April 14th, 2014 at 2:30 p.m. I interviewed Cedric Johnson, who is the Assistant Director of the Russell Union Facilities and Event Services at Georgia Southern University. Cedric received his bachelor's degree in communications with a focus in public relations and broadcasting, and also his master's degree in higher education administration. Originally, Cedric didn't choose higher education. However, upon graduating from undergrad, his mentor mentioned it to him, being that he was very personable and that he wanted to work in something that he can enjoy. Cedric has held many positions in student affairs, starting with the resident director, which he became immediately in coming into the field. Next, he was an area coordinator, then a student union coordinator slash pub manager, and just recently becoming the assistant director for the Russell Union Facility and Event Services. For the past 11 years, Cedric has worked in higher education. However, prior to that, he worked in a casino during undergrad. Cedric did seem to love his job very much. He did mention that some of the best and worst parts of working in the position varied very differently. Some of the best parts were getting to work with students and also being a part of their lives to help figure out, their next transition into life upon graduation. The worst part of the position, Cedric stated, was definitely not having enough time during the day to interact with students. He is in a lot of meetings a day, about 5 to 6 every day. So that gets, kind of tedious and makes your day a lot longer than it has to be. Then having to also find unique ways and opportunities to, with the budget cuts, to best give students the opportunity to succeed and enjoy the facilities. Cedric did state that he was very satisfied with his career and that, the path that he did choose. He stated that he feels like it almost feels like he never left college. He gets to interact with people and students on a day-to-day basis, and there's a lot of mentoring and helping that he does to students so that they find out what they want to do, find out something that they're extremely passionate about. Cedric did state that his future aspirations will still be wanting to work in the union, however, transferring over to the administrative side. He loves the union. He feels as if he can make an impact there. Nonetheless, Cedric did say he will win the lottery and retire by 40, travel the world. So that was kind of fun to hear, just to see that he still had some hopes and aspirations. So Derek did have some advice for me stepping into the higher education profession. Just pretty much saying don't be afraid to step outside of my comfort zone when first getting into the field, and being cognizant of why things are in place before I try to make those changes. Some things may be tied to tradition. Some things may just be a certain way at that school. So understanding why those things are there before I decide to try and implement changes. And then lastly, just to find a seasoned professional at the institute and ask them to mentor you, to ask them to help you learn why things are in place, and ask, to help you understand the culture of the school and, what best will benefit the population at the school, and, to best help me step into the position. Switching over to departmental information, so Derek said their mission is really in transition, being that Russell Union Facility and Event Services just broke off from the Office of Student Activities. But basically, he explained it as, the department is there to provide event services to the campus and the surrounding community. The Russell Union is pretty much the go-to department for resources and events, across campus and throughout the community. They are, the go-getters. They make things happen for events. With the structure of the department, it starts off as the Vice President of Student Affairs and Academic Enrollment. Then it goes down to the Vice President of Student Affairs and Academic Enrollment, and then you have Cedric. Okay, Cedric is over the coordinators, then the graduate assistants who handle training in the department, who hire employees and things like that. Then you have the graduate intern who handles the marketing and public relations, making the Instagram, making the Facebooks, the things like that, the flyers for hiring and things. Then you'll have your maintenance professionals, and then you'll have the student staff who are directly on the front line, who, make the setups, who fix things, who do the painting and things like that. And then lastly, you have your budget analysts. With the department, there have been A lot of changes in the past couple of years. The main one being the reorganization of the department in itself. The office was formerly joined with the Office of Student Activities. Excuse me. However, the two split, and now the union is focused on making its own brand and really coming into its own. All right, and also another change that has experienced was really recently becoming fully staffed again. All right, the office has not had enough people to make the union run effectively, and now they're finally getting back to that point. The major concern that is affecting the department is budgeting, being that the union did just break into its own separate entity. They're very cautious about how funds are spent. Some funds utilize those student activity fees, others use state funds, and really trying to make sure that the student needs are being met at a high level. They're trying to best, figure out how much funding is needed across the board. As I just kind of stated in the last slide, the budget is still pretty basic, being that the union is still trying to brand themselves and come into their own as a department. So they're really trying to still see how much money is needed across the board. However, Sederic did state that the most financial need is apparent in just the operations budget overall. Okay, being that the office is housed in an older facility, the union does need to make sure that proper maintenance is being done to keep the building running properly. Okay. So Derek also stated, the department's biggest accomplishment and biggest difficulties in the last 5 years. The accomplishment was establishing itself as its own department and just really coming into its own mold and just being able to set aside, the Office of Student Activities umbrella that was over it for so long. And the biggest difficulty was being short-staffed and really having limited personnel. In the positions that really needed to be there, and having to put the department on one person's shoulders. Lastly, with my reaction to the interview, I felt it was very informative and helpful to me, really about to step into the higher education field and seeing what the union was like, and seeing how student services in this position are. Um, However, I don't really feel like it's a position for me. I really don't like meetings all day, and being that he said meetings range from 5 to 6 a day, it's kind of tedious and it gets kind of hectic. Then just because I'm really not passionate behind it, I saw how passionate he was about it, and I really want to be that same in whatever position that I do find. But I did think it was informative and fun, and I did enjoy it.